Alright guys, and welcome back to another episode of AHC Garage. You got Jonathan here, Vtec Killer. You got Mike behind the camera, and we got Candy Girl on the lift. Now, the car's on the lift. We fixed everything with the engine before, almost. There's a couple things that I did that I guess I didn't do right. That would be my breather setup here. When I had them on the back, since there's no baffle on here, it filled my catch can up in about four or five trips, about 1.5 quarts of oil in there. There's no baffle to block the oil from shooting straight into there. On this side, there is a baffle that's there, so that way it doesn't fill up the catch can with oil. So I moved everything back up to the front. Didn't cost me much because I had the hose and we already made it happen. That was my mistake. I had a few friends reach out to me and tell me that was going to be the problem, and sure enough, it was the problem. The only way you can really run that setup on that side is if you run a drain back into the block, which is not what we're doing on the setup. The other issue I ran into is from the beginning, it seems like everything I didn't rebuild or address before this build has come back and caused some issues for me. The transmission main shaft seal on here was leaking. This is a GSR transmission with an LSD and an LS5. So it's pretty much a perfect all-around transmission for daily driving, long trips, and everything like that. The gearing's perfect for the horsepower. It's really awesome, but it needs a rebuild. As far as taking the main shaft out, replacing the shaft seal, and putting it back together, if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to go through and do a full carbon synchro kit on it. This has all stock synchros, so I don't really have the money to put into that, but some time ago I did waste some money on something I thought was pretty cool, and that is a EK4 with an EK4 transmission. So that is a JDM B16 transmission, but this one's a little different because it was modified by Spoon and it has their clutch style LSD in it. All the gearing in it is the standard SI or B16 gearing from the 98 EK4 it came out of. So we're going to go ahead and put that in right now. It is not a great daily driving transmission because of the very short gear ratio and the clutch style diff. The diff's going to be very noisy and not so great for straight line driving, but really good for turning. So the fact that I don't have to really spend money to rebuild this transmission right now, and I've already spent the money on the other transmission, we're just going to do a quick swap because I can't have that oil leaking onto the clutch. So that's some of that problem that we're going to address. And there's a couple other things that I need to address, such as putting a flex fuel setup on here, which I need to add a flex fuel sensor to the fuel system. And I'm also thinking about replacing all of these braided lines with PTFE hoses, which are more compliant to E85. E85 will eventually take these rubber hoses and break it down and clog up your injectors. So that's kind of the goal. Since I wasn't on E85, I didn't use the PTFE, but now we're going to be switching over and changing that. I don't know if all that's going to get into this video, but that's the main end game of this. We want to hit a peak horsepower, see how close to 300 we can get. It's about 274 right now. On ethanol, we can start throwing a bunch of timing at it and try and get that horsepower up. Now, I also, in order to do the flex fuel, I had to buy a new Honda. This has a Honda version 2, which doesn't have Bluetooth and it doesn't have flex fuel capabilities. All right, bought that Honda. That should be a quick swap out, and I can probably upload my current map onto there, but it'll be ready to accept the flex fuel setup, which is coming in from Burton Racing pretty shortly. So I think today what we're going to focus on is swapping out the transmission, and we'll see how the fuel system comes along. I haven't really built PTFE lines before. I know the procedure is a little bit different. My buddy Tadashi has a lot of experience with it, and he was going to show me what it is. But that also means purchasing a whole mess of fittings, which I already have bought here. So it's also another big expense in time and money. But we want to have some more horsepower. We also want to have the flexibility to run E85. Right now, in order to get the car to not detonate, I have some octane booster, which is not great for the setup. Ethanol would be a little bit better. So let's go ahead and start ripping this thing apart, and we'll show you guys that Spoon transmission I picked up. Here's the transmission. So this came out of a Spoon certified EK4 hatchback that was brought into the country a while ago. It was a 98 hatchback. The diff was a little too aggressive for the owner. It is a clutch style diff and it does make some noise, and it's not great for daily driving, and the previous owner wasn't interested in that aggressive of a diff in the car, so they just bought a standard B16 transmission and threw it in the car. So this right here indicates the year and the month of the overhaul. So 2013 in the same month here, and it is a 98 standard, so that would be the gearing with a Spoon LSD. So it has a standard final drive with the Spoon limited slip, and I don't know what INT8KG, but I'm guessing that has something to do with the diff in one way or another. So I looked up and I contacted Go Tuning and a couple of people and some ChatGPT to get an idea of what kind of fluid I should be running in this. And it says if you're not doing a lot of track driving, you can run standard Honda MTF. If you're going to be doing a lot more track driving, you should be running some Torco RTF, and it's a little bit better on the diff. It makes the diff quieter. Right now we're going to run the MTF, because another thing I read and found about this is since it uses clutches instead of a helical like the standard differential on these transmissions, it wears. And when it wears, it puts the carbon from the discs and the clutch material into the transmission. So it's recommended that you change the transmission fluid at the same time you change your engine oil in order to keep the gunk from building up inside of the gears and everything like that, behind the bearings and all of that. So this is a high maintenance situation. I don't drive the car a ton, and I do plan on putting the other one back in, but for now this is a pretty good holdover, and maybe we'll let this thing go when I'm done with it. But for now, this doesn't cost me anything, and we're going to slap it in the car. Get our Run Hard Industries cables off, and that way we don't short anything out when we go to disconnect our positive. Right now we just got a bunch of stuff to get out of the way. We're going to get the starter out. We got to remove this engine mount. We got to drain the transmission. We have to disconnect our speed sensor, our reverse switch, and altogether clear up some stuff in this area. We'll remove this mount. We still have our torque mount to hold it up, and we have our back one installed. Then we'll go underneath, remove our axles and intermediate shaft, and then we'll go ahead and swap this out. This shouldn't take too long. We're not going to touch the clutch. It's just going to be transmission in and out. Pull this ground off. Yeah, we didn't over tighten any of this. Remember, when I put this together, I had to time set the transmission. We got most everything apart up here. We're going to go up, start taking the suspension apart, drain the transmission, get the slave cylinder off. So I didn't even have to put the set screws in here because these extended studs had the knurling that sticks out so far that the rotor is like pressed on to the studs. For a two-piece rotor, We'll have to remark all this stuff. Not too much of it though, huh? All right. There we go. No hammer. Ew.
Oh, that's pretty dark.
Yeah, it's also pretty new. Looks like there's a little bit of metal inside that. Could be. Well, that's why she's going to get rebuilt.
I guess you don't have that much metal to pull the fluid.
I've had that. Oh, it does it. It's doing it a little bit. See it? There's metal in there.
Hey, John, is that your master rebuild kit right here?
To be honest with you, these are a couple of the gears from one of these transmissions. I bought 2 GSR transmissions some years ago from my friend John, and I kind of took the best gears and built one transmission, and that was the transmission that went into my DA. This was a leftover one, so I'm not surprised that it needs some work. Oh. Not gonna lie, the Yonaka axles been holding up pretty good.
How much were they, John?
I think they were $300 with the intermediate shaft. Perfect. So this bolt and bracket right here, which is the support for the supercharger so that we don't break our intake manifold from having too much weight hanging on it, is blocking the intermediate shaft. Let's hope that the alternator bracket, which is also a Jackson Racing component, doesn't get in our way. I think we'll be lucky because I feel lucky. Look at that. We're removing the Tyrannosaurus tightener by Dyno Designs. Our buddy Cameron engineered and designed this thing. It is one of my favorite mods for the B series shift linkage. It takes all of the slop out that the pin that normally goes through it usually has. They got different names for that pin. You can use your imagination on it. Some of them begin with a B. But nevertheless, it is the one thing that completely tightens up all the slop in your shifter. This is a must for every single B-Series customer. We do offer this on our webpage, so definitely check it out. We have them in stock. All right. So now we have, what do we got? We have our torque mount still. We gotta go back up and get the slave cylinder out of the way. Then we're going to take our rear bracket off, and we have just a few more bolts, and this bad boy is coming off. I think I'm going to unplug some of these sensors off the motor, get some of this harness out the way. Woo, she's floating. All right, last bolt on the back bracket. We'll leave that right there. Oh, she's already starting to come off.
There you go.
Yep. God, this thing's gonna fall right off. Right? Sputter. I got you. All right, we got them both out right now. As you can see, this has an LSD. You can see straight through it. And what you can also see is a whole bunch of oil in here. And I'm not sure if it's coming from the main shaft. Yeah, I think it is.
Just pop that off real quick.
Or this. It looks like something hit there previously, huh? Maybe that's where it's leaking from. But it's definitely leaking from the transmission. Look at this. Tons of oil everywhere. Hopefully I'm not contaminating my clutch disc right now by doing this. Like I said, she did slip on me a couple times, and then it seemed to get a whole lot better. What are you going to do? Right now, this should be fine. We'll let it dry out real good and put it back together. But for sure, the leak is on the main shaft on the transmission, and that's why we're pulling it out. Put a little grease there. Just a light bit here, and we're not going to put any on the threads. Or on the splines, I should say. After extensive conversations with ACT and a couple of clutch companies, they said do not grease that. So we got this all greased up nice. We have it on our pivot right here. That looks pretty good to me. I got a couple new axle seals. We're going to pop those in. This has to come off on here because it will not work with the Tyrannosaurus tightener. There we go. Shifter shaft seal looks like it's still in good shape. Let me grab the axle seals. We'll swap this over. Interesting enough, this is CTR torque mount for this, and I think I got it on my old CTR transmission I had, so I've always kind of held on to it. So you see it's a little different. Normally they're stamped steel. This one's like cast steel. So we have our seal driver. We'll put a link in the description for these. You can get them, I think it's on Etsy. But they're all 3D printed, and it's specific for the seal. The seal set in here has different size adapters, and this is a guide so that it centers it onto the actual differential. So these things are pretty cool. You put it in, it holds it completely, and then you just take your mallet, boom. Perfect installation every time. Out. New ones going in.
Take this training F for you.
That looks perfect to me.
Here we
Here,
go.
I'm gonna get under it.
I got you.
Oh. Ooh,
Okay.
that's my finger. Yeah.
Right, hand up, right, turn. Right there, right there. That's it.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Put the bolt in.
Oh, we gotta do the reverse switch.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. We lovingly call this tool, some people call it a one-man jack or jack stand or something along those lines, but here we call it Freddy. Because Freddy's the guy that's in the shop that just stands around, does nothing, just like that thing. You see that? Freddy.
I call Jonathan.
John does a lot more than that. All right. Timu axles and a spoon transmission. That's what I'm talking about. Only the highest quality equipment for this vehicle. And remember, the link in the description for this beautiful piece of equipment right here. Tyrannosaur's tightener. Go right through. Put the retaining clip in. Hold it there, then we tighten her up. No more slop, no more roll pin. Highly recommend this part. B or D series. So the number one thing I'm noticing putting this in, and you never know when you're dealing with an old used transmission, is if everything is not cross-threaded or stripped out. Everything seems like it's in really good shape. Thank God, because we didn't need any problems to go with this. We're going to drain out the transmission right now after we finish doing this. Make sure that if there's any residual, it's out. And we're going to fill this with some MTF. So this being a clutch style differential, you don't necessarily need to run a special fluid, but if you're going to be tracking the car, they recommend something like a Torco RTF. But since we're not doing that, we're going to go ahead and just put regular fluid in there. But for now, I think we'll be just fine. Nothing in it. To go with the spoon transmission, we have a spoon magnetic oil drain plug, which, you know, pretty surprising to me that the spoon transmission didn't have it in it. I want to think maybe it was, as we like to call around here, belayed and put onto the other one. In Creole, that means steel. That thing's very good looking, man. Now it's official. I also like that it uses a 17 instead of the 3/8 drive.
Oh, what do you say, John?
I'm tired.
Come on, man. It's not that bad.
This is my ride home, so we got to finish it tonight.
He looks so beat, John.
I'm so tired right now, man. Oh. The nut no longer lives on the end over here. Two quarts of Honda's finest right here.
Almost there, Johnny. Almost there, buddy.
I can almost feel my bed from here, man. I can't wait to be done. There we go. I'm gonna go crank it up, Mike. Let me make sure it goes through all the gears first. Let's see, let's see. Oh, ooh, this feels like a spoon transmission, man. All right, clutch feels good. Nothing else is disconnected, right? Running beautiful as always. Is it spinning? All right, let's see how this thing pulls. It already is a little bit crazy on the diff, but well, that seemed all right. Let's let her warm up a little bit. So this clutch, I should say, not the clutch, but the differential is a clutch style diff. So a OEM differential or even an OEM LSD is helical. So that means it's a gear style. This one uses clutch packs. So that means when you're turning under low speeds, it makes a lot of noise. There's chatter in the clutch packs. But when it turns, it grips totally wild. You hear that? That's my turn on the on-ramp into work every morning. And so we all have our test area. And normally with any other differential, when I make that turn like that, the car will push, or as they call it, understeer, right? So right now you could feel it when it wanted to let loose. I could feel the diff pop, 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 catch it, and it full power all the way through, even with it wanting to slip. You can see why this diff is effective for racing. Now, I will definitely say there are things about it that make it not very nice for daily driving. One of the things is cruising straight down the road, it kind of wants to turn. So, not that if I let go of the wheel, it's going to pull, but it kind of really wants to go one way or the other. And at low speed turning, you're going to get a lot of chatter from the diff, or almost banging in this case. All right, so you guys got to see us take a drive in this car with the new B16 spoon transmission. My overall opinion on it is that it's a very good transmission. The gearing is very short, but it is very track. The diff is not great for regular daily use. When you turn at low speeds, it chatters a lot and bangs, but that's kind of the nature of a racing diff. But under very heavy acceleration and where the car would normally understeer, this diff takes a lot of that away and allows you to really corner like a monster with it. Overall, very awesome transmission. I get the really cool spoon badges on it, but I really think for me, the GSR transmission with the LSD is probably the best bet. But you know, that's why I have two transmissions. I can change it out and see how I feel about it. Now, this overall is pretty cool because I've never really had anything other than like a spoon shift knob or a steering wheel in a car. An actual spoon race part is pretty neat to have. I wouldn't say it's all hype because it tells you exactly what's in the transmission. It's a diff, a racing diff with a stock transmission. So overall, pretty neat and one of their actual race car parts. Now, the next thing we're going to be dealing with is the fuel system. I wouldn't say it's a goal to hit 300, but I really wanted it to be able to hit 300. And I think with the addition of E85 and playing with the cam gears a little bit, it's something we can do. My tuner Fred told me he can definitely do it. He just had to pull back so much timing in order for this thing to not detonate on 93. I put my compression a little too high, and the way the Supercharger builds boost, it builds at a low RPM, and it's just, the fuel can't handle it right there. When I want the car to run really good, I've been throwing some octane booster in it, but that's not really good on the fuel system. So E85 with a flex fuel will be in the future. PTFE lines to be ready for that, E85. And then I think we'll hit the dyno and really see what she can do open wide up. I mean, definitely not a horsepower queen. If I wanted more power, we would have built the motor different and done a turbo kit. But I wanted that clean, simple, consistent power that the Supercharger gives you. But for now, she's running great. I love this car. I've been putting a ton of miles on it. AC's working. Coolant system is perfect after the head gasket job. And she's almost ready to go back to the tail of the Dragon. I hope you guys enjoy it. I love driving this car. If you guys enjoy seeing us work on these awesome cars, give us a like, give us a follow, tell a friend, spread the love, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.